Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is May 11th, 2023. Hope this episode finds you well in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Feeling very good, actually. I'm in a good mood. Feel like I'm in a good place today. The headspace is thriving. Let's see. Sadly, nothing major on the food front. Nothing good on the food corner. Don't have much for you. Let's see here. Trying to think if there's anything like magical, wonderful happening. No, but I will say, I guess maybe a little bit here. I got a good hug today from like a coworker, someone I'm like it's like kind of like a work mom, and it made me think because I have this thought sometimes when you get a good hug, and it's like man, like that hug is staying with me to the point where it's like, especially if that person has like a nice perfume or like cologne, whatever. Like you can smell that and you're not mad about it because it just like instills the same vibe. Like oh my god, I got a nice hug. I don't know. That's nice. So if you haven't hugged anyone today, hopefully you get a good hug, or hopefully you give a good hug. I don't know. That's the corner that we're on today. Let me go ahead and get started with a nice break. Hopefully you take one with me, and we'll get into some news real quick. I will say today was one of those days where I was like craving an alcoholic beverage, and we finally got to this point of the day, so I'm really enjoying it right now. All right. Um, where are we at? Where are we? From Al Jazeera, Israel-Palestine conflict updates. Dozens killed in Gaza bombings. Now this is a live ticker thread. It's kind of the best I could kind of find. Um, it does go very long, a lot of extensive coverage. Um, but let's see here. I guess one big important one that kind of at least sums up a lot. 29 Palestinians have been killed and more than 90 injured in Israeli air raids on the Gaza Strip since Tuesday, according to the health ministry in the besieged coastal enclave. The ministry said that the number includes 6 children, 3 women, and 2 elderly people. Now, I believe this is something in like a tit for tat kind of conflict that has been going on. I think Israel has been like targeting some like commanders, if I'm not mistaken, and this whole thing is just kind of like having this tit for tat, and Gaza will send missiles over. Israel will respond with their own air raids. And I mean, every time this happens, there's never a comparison. Like maybe in like the worst case scenario, maybe a few people die from like the bombings or the missiles that take place from Gaza side. But then we have just the onslaught that happens from the air raids, from the the retaliation from Israel, and I mean it's just devastating. That being said, I mean, this is like a whole quagmire of coverage. I don't really want to like get too bogged down on it, but I would say Al Jazeera is a really good source if you'd like to find and delve through the details if you'd like. Um, let's see here. In some other news, I have for us from ABC News, Daniel Penny, man who choked subway rider Jordan Neely, to face manslaughter charge. DA. Now, this is one of those situations where I truly feel like if people did not get up and get active and protest and make their voices heard and felt, and to say how frustrating and how messed up this is, that people are just trying to okay and sweep under the rug and move along someone literally just getting choked out because they had a mental health moment on the subway train. You know what I mean? But Daniel Penny is expected to turn himself in as soon as Friday to face criminal charges in connection with the chokehold death of Jordan Neely aboard an F train, according to Manhattan District Attorney Office. We can confirm that Daniel Penny will be arrested on a charge of manslaughter in the second degree. A spokesperson for Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg said, "We cannot provide any additional information until he has been arraigned in Manhattan Criminal Court, which we expect to take place tomorrow." So, yeah, I mean, they had initially brought him in for questioning, let him go, and I really don't think that if the internet and people did not immediately take to the streets and show outrage, I think this is just something that just would have been, another day in New York. And I'm glad that at least we have, someone potentially facing justice, at least going to trial. Obviously, that trial is something that we are going to be doing some coverage on, of course, at least a little bit, at least get the wrap-ups, the highlights, whatever. More or less, Penny has said, the Marine who was doing most of the work, though it is important to me, like I said it before, that there were other people who were assisting this man in killing a person. You know what I mean? And that to me is bothersome. Now, granted, maybe they aren't bringing those two men to trial because they don't think that they actually have a strong enough case. That there are definitely things that should be brought to effect. But to me, it bothers me. It doesn't matter that we're just getting the white man who did the brunt of the work. There were still two other men who were just hovering over, holding his arms, like Jordan Neely's arms, while he was getting choked to death. So yeah, I mean, obviously this is some disturbing, fucked up shit in a disturbing, fucked up fucking world. But we'll take what little justice as we can get. That's all we can do. But yeah, I mean, Jordan Neely, he was he did impersonations. I don't know if at the time he was, like, he wasn't at that night or whatever, but I don't know if he still was. But, he, was having a moment of mental, and something I didn't mention the last time, it was sad, his father had brought it up, was that his mom died from being strangled to death. And, obviously it's something he knew about and everything. So it's just so sad that it happened in that way, that he gets choked out on a subway train in New York like that. Like, I don't know. And it's sad too, the mental gymnastics to see people online do to defend someone like this, the Penny guy, where it's just like, well, you don't know what happened on that train. It's like, dude, we have very accurate representation of what the fuck happened. At no point did he threaten him. Like, I mean, he might have threatened him in terms of words, but at no point did he physically go and put hands on fucking Penny. It was the other way around. The second that fucking Neely throws his jacket down, apparently that instigates the fight, as if this is like a fucking fight scene from a video game, and dude just goes primal fury. No, that's just not how this fucking works. I can understand that it's like, okay, like, this isn't a premeditated thing. Like, manslaughter does make sense to me here, but, like, you should be going through the fucking trial, dude. Like, this wasn't some self-defense. You initiated a situation where you took a life. So, yeah, we'll see how that fucking goes. Let's see here. And some other news that I've picked up this week, stumbled onto my table from The Insider. MLK's infamous criticism of Malcolm X as a fiery, demagogic oratory was made up, author finds. Let's see here. All these ads. What's going on? Martin Luther King's famous criticism that Malcolm X was a fiery, demagogic oratory may have been fabricated, according to a biographer. Jonathan Igg, a journalist writing a biography of King, was doing research for the project in Duke University's archives when he found the original transcript of the interview where King gave the quote, the Washington Post reported. Igg gave the paper a copy of a transcript that shows a section of the interview, published in Playboy by journalist Alex Haley in 1965, which appears to have portions that are fabricated or taken out of context. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it was maybe editorialized or what have you by Haley, which is also something that I think is important to kind of talk about as you go through the ins and outs of this whole discussion, is that Haley himself was black. So when I initially heard the story, I was like, oh, okay, like, it's fucked up, but, like, white people are going to take the narrative and dictate how they want to, and they might want to like zhuzh it up, and they want it to be like Malcolm X versus MLK, and like we really want to have this narrative. Now, sadly, the fucked up thing about this though is that this is something that is like in textbooks. People cite this often. Now, me personally, I hadn't heard about it until this month, that this is something that was like in the street. The way I've always interpreted the relationship between Malcolm X and MLK was that they were generally always on good terms. But it was maybe thought that like Malcolm X maybe thought a little bit less of MLK, or at least thought he wasn't doing enough or wasn't going extreme enough. But then a lot of that changed when Malcolm X takes, his pilgrimage to Mecca, comes back, and he's a lot different, has a lot more different views. So hearing this was kind of a surprise to me, but then also saying that, oh man, it was also just not real. Like, this didn't happen. But it is a big discourse, and something I'm kind of glazing over again, but that Haley was black. Sorry. So it's like, this is a black man hearing these issues and going, oh, well, we still should run it this way because it just makes it better. Like, it's punchier, it sounds better. And like, I don't have much of a journalist background, but it is something that I fancy. It's something that I think is an important profession, a career. It was something that in my youth I thought was going to be my career. But it is something that is important, that you can't take liberties. And it's something that I know I do. It's a sin here on this podcast where I paraphrase, I kind of summarize, I TDLR or whatever the fuck. But I feel like, hey, I'm not a paid journalist. You know what I mean? You aren't coming here because you know about my bona fides and that's why you log in and tune in. No, I'm just a fucking guy off the street. So when you have this kind of power and you do these kind of like interviews, these stories, it's best to just tell the truth. Like, what you had was still an amazing article, is an amazing, interview you have here with Martin Luther King Jr. But like, to take the liberties, and he does a thing where he explains, where it's like, it's one thing where it's like, hey, there are times where a person goes, oh, well, yeah, I didn't mean to like say all those ums and idioms and all that kind of stuff, so could you just touch that up? And the journalists will go, oh yeah, no, totally. And they'll smooth it out. They'll smooth out the quotes and things of that nature. That's something that's okay. That's not frowned upon. But to say and put words in MLK's mouth that he didn't say, like, to my understanding, more or less the only condemnation that was thrown anywhere near MLK or anywhere near Malcolm X from Martin Luther King Jr. was the fact that he's like, I have a bit of a problem with like the Nation of Islam, like how they can conduct themselves is a bit extreme. But for what he said about Malcolm X is like, well, this is a person I only hear things about. What I do hear, I do like I like him. I would like to sit down and actually like, meet and talk with him. And, then I think he's more or less said he'd have more to say. But, so that's different than the transcript of saying, oh, he's a fiery demagogue and like, he's like problematic. Like, you're essentially trying to make this a versus thing, and that wasn't that. So, in terms of like, why didn't like MLK come out and defend himself? Ig took to Twitter and said, some people have asked why MLK didn't complain about being misquoted. Hey, the man had bigger problems. He seldom complained publicly about press coverage. He probably didn't read the whole interview. And then learn more in #KingALife. So essentially, like he said, he was doing a biography for King, so he's doing his own little hustle. I feel it. But yeah, I mean, it's good that you clear the record, and also just in terms of like, people who knew the man, family, things like that. I think it's really a good thing, because it's like, this is actually what he said. Like, this is real. Like, obviously, MLK isn't here to defend himself, so it's like good that you have these transcripts to be like, no, this is actually what he said. This is the real. So, yeah, I definitely thought this was an interesting thing. It's a reminder to me to try to do my best, though I will say I will fall short. This is a scuffed ass fucking podcast, and I show up half fucking stoned or whatever. And I'm just here doing my best. But at the same time, I do want to try to get the story as right as possible. And obviously any feedback I get, like, oh hey man, like it's this or it's that, like when I hear that, I immediately like, oh okay, time to follow my sword. Next episode we're doing a fucking corrections corner. You know what I mean? Or I throw it up in the edits and things like that, because I do think, even though I'm not a journalist, what I'm doing I do take seriously. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking about serious shit. It's not light, it's not nothing. So I do want to try to get it as correct as possible. So yeah, we have one more thing to cover, and then I'll let you go. Yeah, it's break time yet again. Oh yeah. Okay. From USA Today, Peloton recalls 2.2 million exercise bikes. Immediately stopped using, CPSC says. Um, so, I mean, I don't know many Peloton users, but 2.2 million sounds like a lot. Sounds like a lot of people are cranking on this bike, doing these crazy, like, bike rides through, I don't know, insert whatever you can do on the fucking Peloton app here. Let's see. Peloton received 35 reports of the seat post breaking and detaching from its original bike, which led to 13 reports of injuries, including fractured wrists, lacerations, and bruises. Peloton said in a news release. I'm sorry, but like when I heard that it was a bike seat, excuse me, I'm not done. I immediately, this is my worst case scenario. This is my final destination, whatever the fuck. I'm picturing you're cranking it, you're going hard, you're biking through Tuscany on your fucking shit, man. Wah, wah, and then like the fucking seat breaks, and then like you fall in, and like you fall on the seat post. That's my nightmare. Okay, and all of a sudden now, like, I got to go to the hospital for that. Now they don't say that. That's just my fear of what. that's how my mind would go if someone tells me that hey, there's a Peloton recall and I have a Peloton. I wish I had Peloton problems though. I'm not gonna lie to you, because that's a lot of fucking money. I don't know if you looked into investing in a Peloton, but it literally made me go, oh, I should just like find like an old ass like 80s exercise bike if I'm ever gonna be that guy, and I'll just fucking like use my smartphone, because I can't afford this. No shot. So yeah, if you have a Peloton, send that shit in. It's no good. Sorry, I don't want you to like break your bum or fuck up your wrist. Okay, be safe. But yeah, that's. Oh wait, no, a little bit of garbage time here. Yeah, we can talk a little bit extra. Something I'm probably not gonna cover in terms of like an actual thing, because I hate oversaturating. But Trump had a quote unquote town hall like style thing on CNN, which was like the craziest fucking shit. Like literally aftermath mode, post this Gene Carroll lawsuit thing. So he was just primed and ready to talk. Let me see if I can look up here. Just Trump town hall, CNN. And the crazy thing was that the fact that it was on CNN, it was very weird. In a lot of ways, Trump just got to dominate. And I mean, it has been called more or less a disaster. But he more or less said, oh, I will definitely make sure, like, hey, like my January 6th peeps, many of those people, I would definitely pardon. No worries. This shit was fucked up. Like, he literally got to hold court. He got to answer questions to, like, supporters and all this kind of shit. And, like I said, it's just been looked at as a flaming pile of dog shit by a lot of people. And people are like, well, why did this happen? But I think this is a lot of, like, CNN trying to exploit on, like, Fox News downfall right now. Like, they're trying to pick up their pieces, get their shit together. And CNN's trying to go, like, full moderate and, like, cover things in a more, like, hey, appealing way to the other side. and like having Trump on CNN is like it's like super good for you. But yeah, it just seemed like Trump got to hold court, and I mean, to a point, the person who was it, Katie Collins, that was a moderator. The way I looked at it, maybe this is me just being a liberal ass fucking hog. I don't know. I thought she was at least like saying, hey, like you're saying things that aren't right, yada yada yada. Like you're wrong here. Like that's not true. But Trump is very good at just holding court. Like at some point he calls her nasty and it's just funny. Like, and it's bad because it's not funny. He's being an asshole, but like it appeals to everyone in the room. Like he like points at her and waves her off at like the end of the conversation. Like it's just, it's crazy how he gets to just lie, and you just like are literally correcting him, but like you just look like the community guidelines fucking community notes bullshit on Twitter. Like you're just like, hey, just so you know, this isn't like real actually. Like, and it's like no one cares what that says. They just want to fucking see the post. They just want to see the meme. Like, and Trump just delivers every fucking time. So it kind of goes into what we were talking about the last episode, where it's like, does this affect Trump? You know, being literally labeled as a sexual abuser? Like, no. Like, he's just going to absorb this, and he's just gonna quote unquote come out clean somehow. It's weird. It's fucking odd. And I mean, you know, from in terms of Biden, he's like, you know, hey, do you want more of this? Do you want that for 4 more years? If you don't, vote for me. And it's like fucking same verse, man. Same verse. So I don't know. It's weird that like 2024 is going to be so fucking crazy in terms of like the election and all this kind of shit, but it's just going to feel like deja vu. I know it. And, you know, Trump himself has kind of said, oh, he like maybe doesn't want to debate, but like seeing him out like that, he's going to get back in. I think he's going to see the numbers and he's going to be like, oh yeah, they love me. They fucking love me. I don't know, man. I'm interested to see how things are gonna go. I take myself back to 2016 a lot, and I think back to like, you know, yeah, Hillary Clinton. She's not a winner. Like, you know, people don't love her. She did the hot sauce in her bag swag. Ugh. But she's a politician, and Donald Trump's just a guy who is literally on The Apprentice. There's no way. Like, there's just no way. So. Psych. So I think back to now, we have Joe Biden, someone who people fucking hate. Like, people are like, how is he gonna make it to like what 86 years old to finish the job? I don't get that. I don't see it. Who knows? Who fucking knows? Like, but to me, I couldn't see. I can't see myself voting for a Republican. I don't care. Yeah, 2-party system sucks balls. I would love to have actual real candidates who, like, you know, I want to vote for. But like, once again, I couldn't see myself voting for Trump. I couldn't see myself in the fucking like ayahuasca fever dream where fucking DeSantis wins or anyone else. I couldn't see myself voting for that tactical monster either. You know, that's fucking wrong to sanctimonious for me, brother. So yeah, I don't know. So that's some final extra thoughts there. I didn't want to actually give Trump another bump or anything like that. I think Trump himself is at like a black hole conversation. You don't get anything out of like really going into the guts about it. But the town hall meeting was weird. It was an interesting decision from CNN. I will say, ratings wise in the initial, I think they got what they wanted. But it just looks weird, right? Like, why are you trying to LARP as Fox News? You never look good doing that. That never looks good. But yeah, that's all we got for today. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. Allow me to chill a little bit. Patreon.com says Isaiah News. If you'd like to support the podcast, $5 a month gets you bonus content, extra episodes. I put up one every week. Also, hot link to the Discord, which is free. You also become a newsie, so that's shout outs every month. And plug whatever project you're on. A little bit of cross promotion, if you will. Also, love talking about news with my newsies. So, like, if you got something that's like hot, I want it. either for my own personal amusement, just because I like news, or I'll put it on the podcast. That being said, I do that for the free. If it's the right news, if it's good, if it's juicy, I can't help myself. But yeah, free ways to hit me up, isaiahnews1@gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. You can hit me up in the comments on YouTube's. Feel free to subscribe. Hit the bell there. Do that. That's cool. You can do that on Spotify. I believe you can do that on Apple too. So it keeps you up with all the Joneses. Yeah. Also, do the ratings and stuff like that. Yeah. All right. That's it. That's a checklist on that. I love ya. Thank you so much for listening. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.